Hey everyone, and welcome to the Matters podcast. Very excited today. I'm chatting to Caitlin from FEM-i, not FEM-i.
Yeah, got it.
I had the privilege of working with Caitlin, and I'm so excited for her company. And her company's in a very interesting phase at the moment and stage. And I've got so many questions, so get ready for a 90-minute podcast.
I'm excited to answer them.
Okay. So yeah, let's just a bit of background. Maybe just paint a picture of what FEM-i is and the current state or phase that it's in.
Sure. So FEM-i is a tech startup, and I founded the company in May 2020. And basically, we're on a mission to redefine safety for women across South Africa. Our solution is a safety network that leverages community and end-to-end IoT technology to empower women to build safer public environments and to ultimately create a new narrative where they are no longer victims. So we're still busy with product development. We've made some headway. We actually just launched our pilot project in Stellenbosch, and that means we have built a minimum viable version of the network, and we're testing it on our target market. And basically, the study, we're going to use it to gather data about our potential customers' experience of the solution. Like, did it work? How can we improve it? And then basically gather that data, go back to the drawing board, and also use that data to get funding so we can eventually launch the network.
Amazing. I got so excited about the company. I'm very excited about the company. I didn't even ask about who Caitlin is. So maybe let's just tell the audience who you are as well, and then we'll get into some interesting questions.
Sure. I'm Caitlin, obviously. Before this, I was working abroad. I used to work on super yachts. I did that for 5 years. I went straight over after school, skipped the whole uni thing. Never been one for school. Love to learn, but not formally. And yeah, I did that, traveled the Mediterranean, the Middle East, the Maldives. And basically moved home now full-time to drive this.
Amazing. I'm particularly excited because of the stage that your company is in, and especially because I think there are so many people, and I hear this I've got friends who they're always coming to me with these bright ideas of like, I want to invent this, I want to invent that, like whether it's an app or a product or a service, and then it never happens. And so to see someone like really driving towards the realization of what you are working towards, it's so exciting. So maybe tell us when this idea was conceived, and maybe get a little bit into what your why is behind it, without obviously revealing too much.
Absolutely. So basically, the concept came to me in 2019. It was during the nationwide protests sparked by Uyonene's death. I was working in the Mediterranean at that time, and I basically started to just do more research. Like, I was always aware of what gender-based violence was. I think we all are, but only at that point did women start to really question, like, okay, why am I not safe enough to walk out at night alone? And we started to get angry about it. And I was quite bothered that I wasn't able to be at home and contribute in any way to the conversation. So I started to think about different ways to solve the problem. And I thought of it originally started as like a tracking device. It's matured somewhat into something much cooler. But the goal behind FEM-i is also to shift the narrative. So women, unfortunately, have been forced into the role of victim in South Africa. But the strongest women I know are South African women. So the purpose behind FEM-i is also to help women make that shift and realize, like, we can protect ourselves and we can protect each other. We don't need anyone, essentially.
Yeah. Amazing. I really want to know, what was the thing that pushed you or enabled you to go from idea to action? Because I think, again, like I say, so many people have the idea, but there must be something that spurs you on every day to keep taking that next step, to keep building. Because I can imagine there are plenty of days that are very boring, that are very where the task at hand, isn't particularly exciting, but you need to do them in order to realize this vision. So what is that thing?
I suppose it's become my personal mission to bring about change in South Africa, and because I've invested myself so much, that's what keeps me going. Like, I see a future where women and children are safe, and where men and women cooperate together to make that a reality in South Africa. So it's the personal drive, definitely, and also the minor results. So every step you take, is a minor achievement, and eventually when you look back, you realize how far you've come. And I think that also spurs you on. Also, I've bootstrapped this entire thing, so I've invested way too much money to back out now.
Amazing. Maybe talk a little bit about that. What are some of the realities with starting a business, with a startup like this, where mega funding isn't available initially? Talk to us about bootstrapping an idea like this.
So I'm going to give you a bit of a backstory. So I had the idea of FEM-i in 2019, but I didn't really prioritize time to pursue it. I was much like the people you say never really follow through on their ideas. It just seemed like a monumental task, and I had a full-time job, and I was traveling, and I just didn't prioritize it. Fast forward to 2020, pandemic hit. I was working in the Middle East, and my place of work got COVID. So this was right at the beginning of the pandemic. No one knew anything about coronavirus. So obviously everyone went into full panic, and everyone who tested positive was sent off into government quarantine. They took our passports and basically put us in a room.
Oh my gosh.
And basically between private quarantine and government quarantine, I spent about 60 days in isolation. So that's a lot of time to think and work on projects. So I finally had the time to reassess what I wanted to do with my life, and also start doing research. The amount of research that went into this in the beginning was enormous, but I had a lot of time on my hands. So once I researched, I reached out to my sister's partner, who's an engineer, just to find out more about the tech, because I don't have any tech background, so that was obviously an immediate challenge. And we kind of researched together. We had several meetings, and then eventually he pulled out because he just had too much going on with his full-time job. That was around May 2020. And then October, I managed to get a repatriation flight home. I had spent a lot of time building a business plan, a business model, design, concept, everything. And then I started to, once I came home, I had 10 days quarantine, and used that quarantine to research product development agencies or companies. Interviewed a lot of them, but then found Skeg. They are based in Milnerton. Amazing team. The only product development company that I've found that equally invests time into the product and the entrepreneur. So they're super passionate about seeing not only the product succeed, but the entrepreneur. So they've been very supportive since day one, and extremely instrumental in the final concept that we reached. We actually partnered in June 2021, so they are on board full-time and helping me drive this project.
Amazing.
But I was fortunate enough to work on the boats, so thanks to the conversion rate, and when you work on the boats, there's not much living expenses. I saved a lot of money, and I basically, instead of investing that or buying a car or a house, I put everything into this company. So I was fortunate enough to have that. To back me. That's
amazing. It's not every day someone is willing to take that kind of risk, but it just shows how much your heart is in this thing, which is amazing. You were speaking about Skeg now, and I think it shows the quality of a company or a partner when you plug them without them asking you to plug them. Maybe talk to us about finding the right kind of partners, because I know you are a powerhouse as a founder, and there's a lot you had to learn by yourself, especially in the initial stages. And I've seen lately how you've been bringing people on board, and that's also very exciting. But tell me about the process of finding the right partners, because I can imagine this is like your little baby. You've invested so much into it. Like, talk to me about that process and how you treat it. Yeah.
So Skeg, I was fortunate enough that because we kind of developed the concept into what it is now,
Yeah.
they were equally as invested, and also there are women on that team, and a lot of the men on the team also have daughters. So everyone feels mutually about gender-based violence. Right. Everyone really wants to make a difference, and we believe that this can.
Yeah.
So basically, they asked me if I wanted to partner my company because they're adamant that they want to be a part of this journey and see it become a reality, which was amazing. And I was just grateful because they really believe in the idea. And I think that's essentially, at this point in a business, what counts. I mean, you can bring people with skills and things on board, but if they don't have the same drive and aren't willing to do everything and anything to make it happen, then you're not really going to get there, I think, because then you're the only one pushing the giant rock up a hill.
Exactly.
Yeah. And as for the new team members, that's based on skill but also commitment. They've been following the FEM-i journey from the very beginning, and they've helped out a lot before they became team members. So they also believe in the cause. Yeah.
Amazing. Perhaps give us a brief idea of the product development process, just so that the person sitting there that has the idea of I don't know, I'm about to invent some crazy thing here. The flying iron that flies from the I don't know, starts ironing your clothes for you before you wake up. Maybe just give us an idea of the product development process, so that we can have an idea as to just what that looks like once we have this idea that we want to have realized.
Sure. So in my case, I went to a product development company, and the thing about a product development company is they want to help you create a successful product. So you have to be flexible in the design. Basically, they have the skills and the experience to know what is going to work and what is not, engineering wise, and also just product market fit, business experience. So I went there with a design concept, gave them like a briefing and expected it to go exactly how I wanted it to go, and that went out the window. But we had really positive results because I was willing to adapt the idea based on their research. So they did a lot of research in the beginning into the problem, different companies, competitors, etc. And then once they had that research, we had several, I want to call it brainstorming sessions, where we worked together on solving the problem. Just shooting ideas, spitballing, genuinely, like eating tuna sandwiches and going for 3 hours, like fueled by coffee and and drive to change South Africa.
I mean, that sounds fun to me. Is it as fun as it sounds?
It was, it was. I honestly don't feel like I work. I love what I do, so it's a privilege to be doing this.
Yeah, that's amazing. And then maybe tell us about some of the realities of the timeline when it comes to product development. I'm guessing if I get the idea today, 6 months from now, I'm not going to have a product, or am I wrong?
It depends on your access to funding.
Right.
So product development, especially technology-wise, is very expensive.
Okay.
So if you have access to funding, you could have your product in 6 months.
Okay.
But realistically, if you're bootstrapping, like in my case, I actually started the product development in October 2020 and went back to work twice. I did 2 more contracts on the boat, basically saved up a whole bunch of money and then just went to the next phase. So basically, we initially started and it's the discovery phase. We decide what direction we're going to go, basically cement the concept, and then from there you move into like proof of value, which is where we currently are.
Okay.
And that means testing the product or a version of the product on your target market.
Right.
So we can say, is this going to work? Does the target market actually want your solution?
Yeah.
And are they willing to pay for it?
Yeah.
So by answering those 3 questions, we get a clearer picture of what exactly we're going to build when we do prototyping.
Yeah.
And then once we've done prototyping, we can move forward into like mass producing and launching the product.
Yeah.
In FEM-i's case, though, the tech is nothing novel. We're just using it in a more proactive way.
Okay.
So, yeah, we're not building some crazy new contraption.
Yeah,
we're just using things that already exist and leveraging community.
Right.
We're just using a different approach, a more proactive approach.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. That's great. So I'd hate for a listener to walk away from this and be like, amazing, Caitlin has inspired me. This is going to be easy. Please tell us what some of the harsh realities are that you did not expect, so that someone who does have this dream of creating something can like know that before they go into it, and they're not surprised by it. Maybe they can learn something from what you've been through.
When you're starting out, the only person that sees the end result is you. So a lot of people are going to ask questions and question you. And if you don't have the, I want to say the will to continue, then you will very easily quit. Because it's very discouraging when everyone asks you like, but why has it never worked before? And these are valid questions that need to be answered, but that's not for the faint-hearted. So you're very much going to be your own cheerleader in the beginning. And it's really important that you just remember your why. Like, why are you doing this? And that keeps you going. There's also a lot of challenges along the way. Entrepreneurship and self-development is inextricably linked. You constantly have to be uncomfortable and improving yourself in different ways. The most recent example is public speaking. I'm now pitching investors, so I've had to get over my fear of public speaking, actually enlist the help of a coach, and just make it happen. So you really have to, in a way, just get out of your own way and keep pushing forward, but it's not for the faint-hearted.
Oh gosh.
Yeah.
Well done on that. I think it takes a lot. I think there are a lot of people out there who would shrivel at the idea of public speaking, but I think these are some of the things you have to do in order to see your dream become a reality, and so I applaud you for that. And then maybe also tell us more specifically in a South African landscape, what are some of the challenges that you think our audience and our listeners may want to know about? Is there anything that like jumps to mind, or do you think designing a product and going through this process is something that's kind of the same everywhere?
I don't think so, because it's very dependent on the market. So I think it's going to differ for the product that you're trying to build. I mean, there's basic challenges like access to funding, finding the right partners, finding the right product developers, manufacturing, all of those things come into play. But I think really the challenge is finding your market and understanding your market, and I don't think enough people do that. A lot of people get excited by their idea and they love it so much, they want to just send it out into the world, but they don't take the time to check, do people actually want this product? Do they find value in it? Do they see or share my excitement for it? And then they launch the product, they spend all the money, launch the product, and the market isn't actually as receptive as they hoped. So doing research before is so important, and understanding your market, and then also testing, like we're doing now. Test and see what works, what doesn't. You need to speak to your potential customer, because they essentially are the ones who are going to use the product.
For sure.
So if you don't speak to them, you'll never know, and then it's very likely that you are going to miss the mark.
Oh, that's so good. And then, what are some of the rewards? Let's talk about some of the good stuff along the way. What are some of the big or small rewards that come in your, let's say your personal experience, when do you start to see them?
It depends on the person.
Okay.
So some people like to celebrate every small
Yeah.
milestone. I personally don't. I'm an avid believer in like recognizing your achievements, but don't get ahead of yourself. Like there's
Okay.
still work to be done. It's important to keep your focus ahead and to keep moving forward. Otherwise, you lose momentum and you get a little bit stagnant. And with product development and startups, it's really important that you keep the momentum going.
Yeah.
But it is rewarding. I would say one of the highlights was actually the video that we did together, the first video. I think that's when people really started to understand the why of FEM-i. Everyone knew what I was trying to do, but they didn't really grasp the changing the narrative slogan.
Yeah.
And your video, or the one that we did together, actually captured the spirit of that. And that was a really, really awesome moment, because I had so many people reach out to me and say that it was really inspiring and it made them hopeful about the future. So I think that's it, is getting feedback from friends, but also strangers, that FEM-i is inspiring some hope for the future.
Yeah. And then on a more, I guess, personal note, were you always entrepreneurial, or is this something that's kind of been birthed inside of you once you now got this idea? Is it something that you became, or was it something that you always were?
I think I always had a little bit of, I don't know, the entrepreneurial spirit inside of me. I tried a few things in high school to bring in some extra cash, but I found that like having a job worked better. So I had 2 jobs through high school. Started when I was 16, and then I had 2 jobs in matric. Went over to boats, and I mean that is an incredible lifestyle, like minimal expenses, loads of traveling, great pay, but not very fulfilling.
Okay.
And then I mean once I found my why, it sort of just unfolded. So I think I always had it in me. I just didn't have anything kind of spark it.
Okay.
Until I found FEM-i.
Yeah. So did you purely see the work you did on the boats as a means to an end? Like, was it like kind of nothing more? So if you didn't have this idea, do you think you would have gone on the boats the second time?
I don't think so, because when I started my career, so when you start, you do a safety course, and that's valid for 5 years. When I did that course, I said in 5 years I will move home and I'll have my own business. I just didn't know what yet. So the plan worked out. But no, I think even if I didn't find FEM-i, I would have found something else. Yeah.
Amazing. And then what would you say to those who have ideas, but they find taking the next step quite daunting? What do you say to those people?
Stop overthinking. I think a lot of people talk themselves out of stuff. Stop overthinking and just take action. I'm a big believer in not talking and just doing. A lot of people that sit around and speculate and have ideas, and I mean that's good, but it can actually hold you back. It's a matter of just taking action, and then as you go and as you get results, you'll see, okay, that's the next step. Okay, once I've done that, I see that's the next step, and then you just kind of follow the breadcrumbs as you go.
So my only ever full-time job was something that I left in order to start my own thing. But in hindsight, I probably left a little bit too early and without having a proper exit strategy. For those people that have an idea, but they've got a good job that they maybe, well, let's say a good paying job that they maybe not passionate about, what would you say to them in terms of timing, in terms of like, when do I step out of this and into this thing that I'm actually passionate about?
So again, I think it's relevant to the person's personal experience or the business that they're trying to build. Personally, I jumped ship because I needed to come home and drive this full time, or
Yeah.
else it's never going to snowball into
Yeah.
what it could become. So I took a big risk
Yeah.
moving home because I don't have any income. There's savings, and that's kind of put the pressure on now to raise funding so that I can continue doing this. But if I'd stayed that side, then I wouldn't be here to drive the business. So
Yeah.
it's kind of when you're at an ultimatum,
Yeah.
then you either need to take the risk or the plunge and decide, okay, I'm gonna try and do it, or you need to be having or generating enough revenue to like safely quit your job. But I didn't choose the safe option.
Well done. No, I really applaud that. I think it takes another level of courage and boldness, and
Thank you.
yeah, to do that, and I really do applaud you. What are you excited about going forward, the next year, the next 5 years of FEM-i? What's the thing that you're waking up every morning right now excited about in terms of the company?
What I'm most excited about is launching the product.
Yeah.
And all the people that we are going to get to work with along the way. There's a lot of people involved, as I mentioned. It's a community based approach.
Yeah.
So there's amazing people that we are going to work with to help make this a reality. And yeah, just to get FEM-i out there and to get people using it.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think that's what I'm most excited about.
Super exciting. I personally can't wait. It's been such a pleasure, I guess, personally, or via our companies to work with you, and I've hardly felt that excited about actually working with a client purely based on not only what your company is going to offer South Africa and the world, let's say the world, let's go big.
One day.
But also just seeing your passion and seeing how you've overcome so many obstacles and the risks you've taken. It's really been very inspiring. So
Thank you.
So thank you. Maybe tell our listeners and our viewers where they can find you, where they can follow your journey, so that we can all see the launch of this product and cheer you on from the stratosphere.
So you can find FEM-i on Instagram. It's at FEM-i-PTY. And then we are Feminine Enhanced Modern Inventions on Facebook.
Okay.
Yeah, and the website is femi.co.za.
Okay, fantastic. Thank you so much for joining us. It's a pleasure, as always, to listen to where FEM-i is going and what's happening. We really appreciate you being on, and I'm sure we'll chat to you in the future. I want to make a promise here. We're going to have Caitlin on again after the product launch. And to hear what happened during that time, and at that point then what the plan is for the future. Thanks, Caitlin.
Thank you for having me. I really enjoyed it, and I love what you guys do here at Jumpstart. I think we really need more and more resources as entrepreneurs in South Africa, so you guys are doing something awesome.
Oh, thank you so much.
You're welcome.